Hey guys, welcome back to another quick Substance Painter tutorial. So last time we textured a D6 modeled by Mike, and we applied a low and a high poly bake to it as a matter of demonstration. Now I want to take a moment here and just show you guys how to texture an incredibly simple texturing process using Michael's D20 or the 20-sided die. So like last time, we're going to start with a new project, and we're going to select the D20 that Michael modeled. And we are going to do this one in 4K as before, and I'm just going to leave the template blank. And there is the lovely D20 that Mike has modeled. So we can see it already has a material attached, and it's looking good. So if we look at these UVs, this model has the potential to have a lot of seams in it. So allow me to show you if we are, well, first let's do our bake. So we'll go into texture set settings, and we'll head down to our bake mesh maps. Okay, and we'll have all of our meshes, mesh maps here, and 4K. We're not doing a high poly this time, so we don't need to. And I'm just going to add a 4K and bake. This won't take more than a few moments. So there's the normal, there's the world space, there's the ID, here comes the ambient occlusion. And there it is. So we can return to paint mode, and the bake is finished. So let's use this as a good example for showing you guys some projection settings, shall we? Let's go look at, what did I have here just a second ago? Leather grain. Okay. Sometimes these don't work, and I don't think this one will work either. Oh, we got a crash here. Hang on a sec. Whoa. Okay, maybe I just needed to wait a little longer. Let's try the reptile skin instead, and I'll give it a little bit more time to, there it is. Okay, so there is the leather reptile skin. So let's have a look at what's happened here. I'm going to go into 3D mode so we can look at this. So we can clearly see, actually, if we come back, we can see all the spaces between the UVs that Michael has put, right? And with that, it causes seams along every single edge of our model. Now there's a couple of ways around this, and the one way we can do is to change the projection of our texture. So if we, with our leather skin selected, if we go look into our property section, we've got a fill with a projection setting. So right now our texture is being UV projected, which means this square that we see right here is essentially our texture that is being projected down onto Mike's UV here. And actually, if we look really closely, we can almost make out how the pattern actually lines up perfectly from one triangle to the next, right? Minus the gap. But those triangles aren't necessarily uniformly laid out, right? Because of the shape of this object. Okay, so with the UV projection, I could literally grab this projection. Now holding shift, I can pull this tile down and shrink it, and I can make the reptile skin much smaller, which kind of looks better if I was to actually do this, right? And if I move it around, say like this, right through the middle of some triangles, you would never know, because the texture is actually tileable, which means wherever the pattern ends on the top, it's continued perfectly on the bottom, and same thing goes from left to right. Now I can demonstrate this by going into the UV wrap where it says repeat, and I can go to no repeat, which means now I can show you, if I shrink this down, I can put the entire texture onto a single triangle. Okay, so for anyone who's seen a texture before, you've known them to always be square. Well, that's this texture. It's just a square. Okay, but now watch as I scale this back up. You can see the texture starts to get cut off here at the seams. See that? And it's going to be continued over here. Okay, so again, I'll just point out that the side here continues on this side perfectly, and same with this side continues on this side perfectly. But when the object is UV'd in this way, we get this kind of setup. So what we can do is, I'm just going to place this back. Okay. Actually, I'm going to shrink it down because I think it looks better, a little bit smaller. And we're going to turn the scaling, the UV wrap back to repeat. And real quick, I'll just point out that we can repeat horizontally, so that the texture will just go straight across this way, or we can repeat vertically, where it will just go up and down, or we can just repeat it in both directions, in all directions. Okay, so we've got these hard seams, and right now we are projecting directly onto our UV map via UV projection. But we could switch to a triplanar projection. And if we do that, now what's happened is the projection of the texture is no longer UV based. And if we look closer at the UVs here, we can see now that we've got almost what seems like seams in our UVs, right? But not really. But the texture is no longer running in the same direction. It's kind of all over the place. Or if we come back to our 3D version and we look along those seams are now much better hidden. They still look a little rough, but thanks to the triplanar projection, we are now projecting our texture from 3 directions, otherwise known as the X, Y, Z directions. And we've got this cube here that represents, it's the projection cube. So anything inside of it is getting projected onto. So we can move this to adjust the texture any way we want. And thanks to that projection, we're hiding our seams pretty well. We are able to see those seams better if we go over here and adjust this hardness that was given to us thanks to the triplanar projection. And if I lower this, the seam should become even less visible. And if I raise this, we should be able to spot the seams just like before. Okay. All right. So keep that in mind when you're trying to texture this D20. You may want to switch your texture's projection direction. Okay. However, I am not going to be using a reptile skin to make my die. I am going to do something way simple. I'm going to use a smart material. Now, a smart material is a collection of materials all working together to accomplish a specific look. So, I could make a solid gold damage die, or just gold armor, or glass visor. Like, we can have some real fun with like a bronze corroded, or maybe a jade die, which would really, that would look pretty cool, right? We could put a jade die over there. We'll just apply that, right? See that? It's pretty cool, right? A smart material. If we open this up, we're going to see all kinds of effects being applied to this die. Like, that seems like a lot of work for a D20, but we can see everything from the roughness details, colored edges. So the edges of our UVs are being colored differently, giving us this really cool worn look, right? But this doesn't mean that we can't affect any changes in this For example, well, we could change the color if we like, and we could apply some extra metallic if we wanted it to look a little bit more shiny, or take some roughness off or on, right? There's so many things that we can do to make this more our own. See that? The one I'm going to use, because it's the one I like, and you don't have to copy me, but you can feel free to come up with your own pattern. But I'm going to use this marble Verde Alpi. So this one's already got the seams dealt with for me. So you can see those seams are looking real good. You can't even tell they're there. Okay. But I am going to change the color of this, because I don't want it to just be out of the box like default. I want to apply some of my own. And if you didn't know, I'm partial to like yellows and greens. But that doesn't, I don't know, that's not working for me. Let's check out purple. Oh yeah, nice dark purple. Look at that. All right, so we're going to go with a dark purple marble dye. Looking good. Looks real sharp. And I'm going to apply something to this that you probably wouldn't normally see on a dye, just to make it pop a little more. So again, the UV projection, we could switch to triplanar, but because of the way this smart material is set up, it's not really going to do much for us. So we can just leave it alone. It's not a problem. So we're just going to close that up and leave that just like that. Now let's go into our UV mode. And unlike the D6 that just had numbers 1 through 6 indented onto each side, a D20 needs the actual physical numbers. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with adding a fill layer first. Okay, whoops, we're going to undo, because apparently, there we go, add a fill layer above the smart material. Okay, now that fill layer has automatically taken over all of the information from our smart material, right? Which is fine for now, I guess. We're going to go ahead into this color now. I'm going to grab a white, super white, and I'm going to make it really rough. I don't want it to reflect any more light than it has to. I could go crazy with the metallic, but no, we're not going to do that. I'm just going to add a whole bunch of roughness, like maximum roughness. Okay. And now I need to add a black mask so that I can hide this. Okay, so remember, anything that's black is invisible, anything that's white is visible. So now that I've applied a black mask, I want to get in there and start drawing on here. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to right click onto my mask layer. I'm going to add a paint layer. Now in adding this paint layer, I've now given myself the ability to paint right onto these UVs. Okay. So I am going to adjust, whoops, my brush size here. Okay. And what I'm going to do, it's unusual for a D20, but I'm going to do it anyways. I'm going to add, oh, I grabbed the wrong brush. I wasn't finished. I got ahead of myself. So first I want to change this brush. And the brush I want to use is called Hard Basic. I think I can just double click it. Yeah, that's better. And the other thing I want to do is I'm going to go back to the color layer, and I'm going to take this height information and lower it all the way to -1. Okay, now we'll go back to our mask and our paint layer, and we will adjust our brush size. I want it to be like just about there. We're going to find the center of that triangle, and we're going to click. And I'm going to go around and find the centers of all of these triangles, and I'm going to add little dots. This is not usual for a D20, but hey, it's my D20. I can do what I want. Then we're going to go through here. And we're just going to add little dots, like so. The reason I wanted to do this is because this is going to apply a whole bunch of contrast so that I can actually see the dice roll when we set this up in Unity later. Okay, so with that, we can go back to 3D and we can see we have this, what almost looks like an indentation of white circles throughout our entire D20. Okay, so now we are going to add a new fill layer. Okay, and in that fill layer, we're going to add a black mask, of course. And this time, I'm going to make the color black. And last time I made it very, very matte. This time, I'm going to make it very metallic. And last time I did a negative height. We're going to go maximum height this time. Okay, and then this time on here, we're going to add another paint layer. Oops, sorry. We're going to add right click, add a paint layer. And then we are going to check out the brand new fonts tab. So yeah, this is new to me. Okay, this did not exist the last time I gave a lesson in Substance Painter. So we're going to pick a font, and these fonts are being represented as numbers at the moment. So keep in mind, they're being represented as letters at the moment, but keep in mind we're going to be using numbers. So I want them to be clean and clear. So I'm going to grab this one. And down here we have our text. Okay. And I'm going to switch that to a 1. Okay. And that should be enough. I'm going to make the brush size a little smaller. And I'm going to increase the spacing. And I'll click 1. And then we'll just continue. 2. Whoops. We're going to try to get the centers though. 2. Actually, I'm only going to put on the triangles that are facing up. Not that it really matters. It's a choice I'm making. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and that's all of the right side up ones. So now we will switch our angle 180 degrees, and we will put 11, 12, 13, 14, 16, 17. It helps to count out loud and keep track. 18. Ooh, that didn't go center at all. 18. 19. Did I miss a number somewhere? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. I skipped a 15. See, if I was counting out loud proper, might not have happened. Okay. So we've got 1 through 19 on here. Perfect. Now, I could put a 20 there. Sure. But why not go to alphas and just put some cool logo on there? Something, I mean, you could design something of your own in Photoshop just using black and white to get it in there as an alpha. But you could also just come here And, you know, if anyone here has ever played Magic the Gathering, then you know that their tick down dice usually have, you know, a symbol or a logo. Hey, check this out. Let's do that. There we go. The Substance Painter logo. I would never use this in 1,000 years for anything. But why not on a D20? So there we go. You want to have a look? Let's have a look. So here is our D20. Fully numbered. And let's see where that Substance Painter logo went. And it's not ticked down, so there's a substance for 20. Right? But there's still one more problem. If you've ever seen a D20, then you'll know that it's impossible to distinguish 6 and 9 on a roll. So we need to fix that. So let's go back to our brush, and let's get that same hard brush that we had before. So basic hard, and let's make it super duper small. And we're just going to click. Then we're going to add little indicating dots below the numbers, so that it is obvious what you rolled, a 9 or a 6. And there it is. There's our D20, beautifully textured, ready for Unity. One more thing, if you guys are interested, I'll just show you super quick. There's a little camera icon up here, and if we click on it, it'll take us to a scenery, and it'll take a few moments, but it'll render our D20 in full daylight. We can move the camera around a little bit, but you'll notice fuzziness as we do that, as it re-renders. All right, folks. So that's texturing the D20 in Substance Painter. So thanks so much for watching, and our next video will probably be importing all of these dice into Unity and applying physics. So I'll see you there.